welcome to this week's video.
How do you? Alright, I'm concentrating, so I'll be with you in a minute.
So this week's video has got our explorations of Coventry, trading weekend,
Boom.
Chesterfield festival that I went to as well.
Yeah, she ran away. Newlyweds and she ran.
So yeah, hope you enjoy the video, hope you enjoy a bit of the history of Coventry Transport Museum in there.
And the bombed out church.
Yep, Lady Godiva.
Oh yeah, there in a horse.
So put any comments below, we'll get back to you when we can. Thank you so much for our new subscribers. Again, we've had quite a few this week. Really appreciate the support.
Lots of boats today, and it's fairly narrow. Oh, must miss this one. Push the button, ring the bell, it's free to you and me, and then that I'm not going to crash into.
We'll see you at the end.
In a bit.
Some nice local artwork there on the walls, being painted in conjunction with Canal and River Trust. These stunning 3-storey cottages we're passing now on our starboard side were originally built for the weavers. So living accommodation was on the bottom 2 floors, and then the looms were on the top floors, and the looms were powered by a steam engine. It was originally planned to build 100 of these cottages. 48 were built and there's 37 of them left. They really are beautiful buildings. They must be so light inside with all those windows up the top as well. It looks like the top floor, some of them might be industrial rather than residential. Lovely row of houses though. More local artwork as we get ever closer to the basin. Ornate modern bridge as we get close. There's a Daimler building behind it. Here we are, coming into Coventry Basin with a bounce. Number 1 on the Coventry Canal.
That's going to be nasty.
Now to find where we're going to moor for the night. There's a cafe apparently, and I think 3 of us are mooring outside the cafe. That was tight, getting under there at an angle. Not a lot of space for the solars when you're a bit close to either side of the bridge, but we've made it. In its heyday, Coventry was home to over 120 different companies making vehicles. In the 1890s, more bikes were made in Coventry than anywhere else, which made it the cycle capital of the world and started off the whole transport relationship with Coventry. In the 50s and 60s, ribbon weaving and sewing machines were big industries in Coventry, and it was actually a sewing machine company, Coventry Machinists, who first went into the development and productions of bicycles. This Swift cycle car from 1913 was made using both car and motorcycle parts, which meant it was lighter and cheaper than some of the bigger cars that were around at the time. Riley were originally a family in Coventry that owned a weaving business in the 1870s. In the 1890s they started making bicycles, and by 1911 they were making the famous Riley cars. Car making industry was so huge in Coventry, it employed over 50% of the male workforce, and they actually brought in additional engineers from Birmingham and other surrounding cities to help with the business explosion, and this in turn increased the population of Coventry by 50% as well. Huge car is Queen Mary's Daimler. Just imagine how difficult it would have been to handle it. It's enormous and would have been very big and very heavy, with no power steering and not very good brakes in comparison to today's cars. The Second World War saw the need and the making of this armoured car by Daimler, and women obviously were moved to factories to help out with the manufacture of vehicles and munitions as well. Does this section make you feel old, honey?
So yeah.
Does this section make you feel old?
Yeah.
So we can remember these cars being on the road when they were quite new.
My uncle had
That exact one.
in that colour.
They are beautiful Triumph Stags, aren't they? And my auntie used to have Rovers like that one. 1980s saw the start of the decline of the motor industry in Coventry, and then by the early 2000s, unfortunately, the last of the factories closed, which was obviously a huge blow for the city. Makes me happy. Finally found an iconic Mini. They started production in the 1960s and revolutionised transport, making it affordable in a small car for many families.
We all had one.
We did. I had one that I used to race, and I had one on the road that I used to put a silver cross coach-built pram in the back of.
And my dad used to have one.
Yeah, amazing little cars. And electric cars aren't just a modern day phenomenon. This electric Mini was a prototype in 1964, part of the project by the South West Electricity Board to encourage the use of electric cars. And then in the 1980s there was obviously the electric Sinclair C5, and in 1987 there was these City Wheels electric cars which were used in towns and cities, and you used a credit card to pay for the hire, which you swiped at the charging terminal, so that was very innovative for its time as well. This is Thrust 2, which is the 1983 land speed record holding car at 633.468 miles an hour. It was built on the Isle of Wight. And this is Thrust SSC, which stands for supersonic car, and it was the first vehicle to go through, the first car to go through the supersonic sound barrier at 763 miles an hour. A bit faster than our 3 to 4 miles an hour on the boat, isn't it? There we go, Transport Museum done.
Well worth going and seeing.
It is well worth going and seeing. If you sign up for a visit to Dippy's Dinosaur online, which is free, you don't have to go and use that ticket if you don't want to, but that gets you 50% off entrance to the museum as well. It's well worth doing. We've just paid £13 for the two of us to go in because I had a student discount too. So not an expensive trip, well worth the effort to go.
Good couple of hours worth of going around and looking at land speed record vehicles, historic though. Oh, excuse me. Historic vehicles, bikes, motorbikes, cars, Anastasias as well.
Army vehicles,
Yes.
fire engines, there's all sorts in there.
And also little matchbox cars.
Yes,
Dinky
huge
cars.
collection of toy cars as well.
Anyway, we're off to go and get some food.
And some charity shopping.
Oh, okay. See you in a bit. We generally do eco-friendly cleaning products. The whole ethos that we do is upcycle, recycle. Cleaning products, small company from Bingley Five Rise where they started out, but it's all water friendly. Cleaning products.
Barge and Booze. We've come all the way from lovely old Stoke-on-Trent to Coventry Basin this weekend for our RCTA floating market. This is Stoke-on-Trent's #1 pub. I'll show you it now. We sell a variety of drinks, teas, coffees. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, even TikTok.
Search and Rescue are here doing a demonstration as well.
On average, it cost about £3,000 to train every individual SRT up. So SRT is a swift water rescue technician, and that's what we all train to. And then you go on from that to become a boat operator. So Boat operator takes us into a different team typing. So when we go to floods, we are a boat team. So we are a B team. Again, all this training is provided for you. So all you have to do if you're interested is come and talk to us. We've got an open day. You come and meet the team, get a bit more hands-on. We put you in the water, see how you find it.
What's going on the water this afternoon? You've got paddleboarder over there, various canoes, zorbing, and then this rib with children having a go in as well, and a Canadian canoe just the other side of that.
What we're going to do now, training up on the Menai Straits in Wales, between Wales and Anglesey, and it's the roughest class 2 water you can get in the UK. It's kind of 2 tides and it wicks out, and it really does test you, and you have to do lots of things, putting ladders up against bridges, and also you can no longer catch a throw line, hold on to a throw line, or anything like that. And we call that a conditional rescue, because there's conditions attached to that rescue. So now we've got to escalate it to what we call a true rescue, and that is putting somebody in the water, like one of them £1 claw machines you see at Skegness. We're going to fire somebody in, so the boat will go round, they can identify the someone in the water, and then he's going to cut to neutral, and then deploy a swimmer on a line, and then they're going to jump on top of the person, swim out and get them. Go on, Tabby, in you go. Gosh, look at that for entry, 5 out of 10, I'm thinking. Shouts contact, she turns the casualty on her back, maintains the airway as best as possible, and then they will recover back into the boat.
All the obligatory food and drink stands, and there is a beer tent behind there as well. Currently eagerly awaiting the ice cream van to reopen. Trina's Canal art with some beautiful designs. And River Trust guys are here. Charity stall here, which of course I've managed to spend some of my hard-earned money on. Information stand from Chesterfield Borough Council about the work that's going on the Staveley Basin and the funding they've got from the government's town deal to invest across the Staveley area. Derby Canal have got their stand here as well, appealing to volunteers. So also at Chesterfield Festival, we've met the lovely Alice White with her book. So if you love your narrowboat readings, she's going to tell you a little bit about it.
Hi, hello. It's a very personal story about when I lived on my narrowboat with my lovely cat Mellas, and my tiny boat was called Argy Bargy. So lots of stories about love, relationships, disasters, accidents.
Lots of them on the canals.
Lots of adventures, yeah.
How can people buy your book?
They can buy it on Reflections from a Narrowboat.
And I'll pop the link down below for you.
It's been a fantastic weekend, a bit of a busy weekend, but what you can't see is how windy it's become. Well, you might do by the flag, but yeah, the wind's got up here this weekend, and a lot of people have gone, but like a couple of the others have lost stock into the canal, and one almost lost a flag advertising what they sell. But maybe it's time to pack up, or just remove a couple of bits that's likely to break or get.
Come into the city centre to explore the original Coventry Cathedral. We were under the impression it was bombed in the war, but actually this piece we're in now is from the 13th century cathedral and had obviously fallen into disrepair and then was rediscovered when there was excavations going on in 1856. Standing on this site since previous to the 13th century, and some of it was rebuilt in the 13th century, and this is one of the original stones that was used for one of the Gothic arches way back then. The belief is a lot of the original stonework has been lost because the area was used as a burial ground in the late 1770s through to the mid 1800s. This row of houses is the best remaining row of houses. Good example of the townhouses built in the 1800s here in Coventry. There's actually been several other types of buildings on this site previous. 650 there was a convent here that was then demolished in the middle of the 1000s, and a church was here, and then that was demolished in the 1500s, which is when the cathedral was built. This is also the site Lady Godiva and her husband were buried on, apparently. In front of us now, this is the rebuilt modern version of the cathedral. This is the site of the cathedral that was bombed on that fateful day in 1943 during the Second World War.
Here we are in Coventry Cathedral, the old bombed out Coventry Cathedral. It is so peaceful and quiet in here. It's absolutely beautiful. Although it's, for the reasons it is, it's not a pleasurable thing to have. But it is so peaceful in here, give or take what happens outside the walls. I'm talking quietly because I'm praying just there. So, but this is the inside of it, and it's so beautiful. And having the other cathedral next door to replace it, it's amazing. So if you don't know why or what, Coventry Cathedral, or this one with the ruins, it got bombed during the war, and as a result, when they rebuilt Coventry, they kept the cathedral building. There's a mark of respect to the past and everything it stood for. So there's a commemorative plaque, and then if we come round, this is the Choir of Survivors statue. If you look closely, some of the glass is still in. It hasn't been damaged. Some of it has been damaged. Some of it's aged, some of it's shattered. But I love it. I really do.
So that's us done in Coventry Basin for this year. So Tash is at work, she's allowed me to play with the boat, and we're following Coddywomble up to Hawkesbury Junction and then leaving her there. Well, we're staying there. Yeah, it's been beautiful. We've got the site of the old Rioch Stadium, now I think it's the Coventry Building Society Stadium, home of Coventry City Football Club. So we might do that. But it's a nice little quiet run, not to see an awful lot, but we'll be there. Enjoy it. We'll see you at another episode.
We hope you enjoyed that.
I certainly did.
It was a new town for us to explore.
Waterway Silver Propeller Challenge. So, boom, bring on the next one.
So yeah, that was number
13.
13. So we're getting through them. We've got another one to do, hopefully in a few weeks' time, on the Ashby.
But that's for another video, the Ashby.
And next week's video will see us at Brinklow Bash festival that we're doing this weekend. So that should be fun. Lots going on. Looking forward to sharing that with you guys.
Sorry, I'm just paying attention. We've got a bridge and a boat just the other side of it, so I can't go too fast. Dodge 'em. Dodge 'em. Now there's one to have a go at. Dodge 'em boats, not dodge 'em cars.
That would be like the Zorb balls that we couldn't go in at Chesterfield because we were too big.
Hey ho, never mind, we'll have to have a go at them one day, won't we?
Yeah, definitely.
Find some of them.
Yeah.
You reckon they'll have some this weekend?
Nah.
So push the button, ring the bell, it's free to you, me, them, and everybody else in the world. Have a good weekend. Enjoy.
Have a good week. See you next week.